Hey everybody, I am back with another episode of HitaTalk, and of course I have another Wonder Woman here because that's just what we do. And like I told you a couple of weeks back, I am featuring the Twin Cities MomSquad. So these badass mom bosses, ultra cheerleaders are not only cheering you on, but also themselves and in this community. And so with me today, I have the amazing Meggie Martin, who is here to talk about all things Illuminated Mom, and really just honing in on this mom tribe and how we can not only support you and our girlfriends, but take care of ourselves. So welcome to HitaTalk, Meggie.
Thank you for having me.
I've been telling everybody I need like an audience applause. So maybe I'll add that in or something. But I'm cheering you on. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we connected like 2-ish years ago at this point. I feel like time has flown. You were such a supporter from the get-go, and then you came to my mobile mommy launch party, and you've been just a badass cheerleader since then. On the flip side, I love seeing all of your adventures. So we're going to talk about all the things. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
We only have a certain amount of time, so it's not like all the things, but we're going to scratch the surface. Before we talk about biz life and then trying to balance mom boss biz life, I want to talk about little Meggie when she was as a little girl. So if you can share something a little bit about where you grew up and what your upbringing was like.
Yeah. So I grew up here in Minnesota. So I'm from Edina, Minnesota. I am a cake eater, but I lived in the poor side of Edina. You always gotta people always assume oh, Edina. Not everywhere, at least when I was growing up, was all glitz and glam. But it was still a great place.
Was that a thing?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Edina people are known as cake eaters. I get it still to this day.
I just like cake.
Right? I know, me too.
Okay.
Yes, I grew up in Edina, mom, dad, brother, and yeah, I spent a lot of time outside, and my brother and I were always kind of going on little adventures in our neighborhood, and we had a pool, so we swam a lot, and that was I was outside all of my childhood.
Oh my gosh. Now, did you do public, homeschool, private school? What was school like for you?
Yep, we just went to public school. We went to the one that was in our district, and yeah, it was good. It was fun.
Yeah. Do you have any best friends that you stayed connected with for a while, or did you guys see people moving in and out?
Yeah, I have my best friend from second grade who we both live in Eden Prairie now, and we don't see each other right now with COVID, but we still chat and do all the friend things.
Oh my gosh. So I don't know if you feel this way, but when I think about childhood, I can't remember a dang thing. I don't remember my childhood because I have blurted out with just adult life. It was also forever ago. And then I don't remember yesterday half of the time, but I think that's just mom life. I have 1, you have 4. So I'm sure there is some level of memory and blur, but through motherhood, do you feel any nostalgia? Does your childhood pop in and out? Does your mom's voice come in through you? How do you experience that?
Yeah, I think a lot of my childhood actually has driven my motherhood journey. I had a great childhood, but my mom didn't make us do anything. We had chores for maybe a week, and then we were never held accountable. And since I am a mama of 4, I can't do it all, and I'm not going to pretend to do it all. So my kids help put their laundry away. They help fold their laundry. They help me with the dishes. They help set the table. I just have a lot of expectations for my kids because I need help, and they're part of our family, and so they get to help.
Oh my goodness. You know what? Good for you, because your kids are young too. Are they 5 and under? 6 and under?
Yeah.
Make them work. They're part of the household. That's amazing. Isn't that funny how either way, whether people had a rough childhood or a really great, fluid childhood, however their experiences were has shaped them today. And a lot of the time it's kind of opposite of home experience.
Yeah.
So fast forwarding to after high school life, what was life for you after you graduated high school?
Yeah, I went to college in South Dakota, and I became a teacher. So I was L-Ed, so elementary ed and special ed, and those are my degrees. And then, I came back to Minnesota to teach because I like Minnesota more than I like South Dakota. So
I didn't know
wanted
you
to
were a
move back
teacher.
home.
Oh my gosh, how old were your students?
I taught kindergarten for 5 years, and then I taught level 3 special ed classroom for a year before I stopped teaching to be home.
Oh my heavens. Okay, so for those of you that haven't yet followed Meggie on Instagram, I watch her stories almost every single day. And the way that you talk about motherhood, the way that you talk about taking care of yourself and preserving energy, and we'll get into all that in a sec, and just, working through the multiple tantrums, whether they're the kids or they're yours or whatever that looks like. I'm like, she is so damn good at this. It's also not me, like, in my situation, it's someone else's situation, so it's easier to kind of appreciate. And I'm like, oh, she's got to have some yes, you do have some background in this, but aside from that, like, that's built within you. So I just want to give you some shout out because you're doing such a good job.
Thank you.
Okay, so staying at home after you were teaching, let's move into like the mama tribe and Illuminated Mom. What is Illuminated Mom? And then we'll go into the details in a moment.
Yeah. So after I had my third, I just felt super isolated. And ironically, this was before COVID and like real isolation happened. And I just felt like if I was feeling like isolated and I had 3 kids, there had to be other moms that felt that way too. And so I didn't have the community that I really craved. And so then it was like, okay, I'm going to create it. If I see a gap and I have the ability to do something about it, that's like very big of my nature. Like if there's a problem, I want to fix it or solve it. And so then the Mama Tribe was born. And then as I've evolved as a mom and an entrepreneur and a woman, out came Illuminated Mom. So,
oh my goodness. So you said after your third, what was your mentality in life like after your first and then your second?
Yeah, the whole journey's been like ups and downs, which I think is very how motherhood is. And my first, who's 5, was super easy, a super easy baby, super easy, like everything. And then Atlee is my second, and she was a preemie. And so that was like a lot of trauma, a lot of learning and growing. And then after we like hurdled that, we decided to have Porter or have another. And Porter was like the worst baby ever, like the worst baby ever. And like when you have your first, people are like, oh, nap when they nap and rest when they rest. But when you have your third, and you stay home, there is no such thing as you can't nap when they're napping because you have 2 other kids to take care of. And just all the advice that people would say isn't relevant unless you have extra care or care other things in place. And so this is really hard, and there has to be, I've just really craved community and being able to, like, can we talk about this for a second and dive deeper into what we all need so that we can show up better for our kids.
Oh my goodness. And everyone's journey is different, whether if it's one. I have one and she's almost 5 at this point. So there was still no nap when she napped. Yeah, I guess on your first it's a little bit more attainable, but then when you have other priorities and responsibilities and your mom and like your story, I mean, some people are coming into motherhood with very traumatic situations. Some have high expectations. Everyone's situation is so different. The advice, I just feel like this is what I tell my pregnant friends. Whatever people tell you, don't listen to it. Just follow your gut. That's my only advice.
Yeah, seriously.
You have to do what works for you. And you're kind of pivoting like all the time. I mean, you've talked about this publicly with your platforms, and you have such a safe haven for your tribe that you meet with in your program, the Mama Tribe. But like, you just have to kind of pace yourself, and things change constantly, not even just 2020. The day can look different today or tomorrow. So talking about Illuminated Mom, what are the programs? What is it that you're working on? What is Illuminated Mom for those that don't know?
Yeah. So Illuminated Mom evolved because as I've evolved as a business owner and a woman, I really have dove into the space of spirituality meets motherhood. And it's a really cool place to be. And I really want to help those moms that feel like they are kind of drowning in motherhood and their whole identity is motherhood and they really aren't sure of like who they are as a person. And so I have kind of different, I guess, tiers or ways to support a mom depending on where they are in their journey. Because the Mama Tribe Monthly is like a community of women that we meet twice a month on Zoom, and usually have like an expert come talk to us for one call, and then at the connecting call is the second call. And usually that's my favorite because we all talk about like the highs, the lows, and then we support each other. So like if somebody's struggling with like their kids screaming, we've all had experience with kids screaming, but we maybe have gotten different advice or different things worked. And so we all work together to like help this one mom with her screaming and give her like tips or tools or tricks or whatever support we can to help her, because it's hard. You kind of need that space to like, what did you do? How did that work? And so that is the Mama Tribe Monthly.
So that's okay. So it's a cohort that these women sign up on. Is it 3 months or do you have a specific time length?
Yeah. So it goes monthly. So like you can join for 1 month, decide you don't like it and quit, or you can do a year, 6 months, 3 months. I don't really have, if it's not working for you, I'm not going to like lock people in to like stick with us. I'd rather have a space that's like safe and feels supportive. And so most women have been staying and want to continue to be a part of it. So
yeah. Fun. Well, you're putting out such a beautiful just platform that has open access to talk about all the things, the good, the bad, the ugly, and you don't wake up looking like this most days. So embracing like inner and outer and all of that. And I've heard so many of like our mutual friends, even with all their creative businesses, you're probably going to hear kids in the background from both of us, because this is just what mom life does. Is everyone connects differently with like the people that they're working with, right? So like there's all these online groups, there's all these in-person groups at one point in our society. We had that before COVID. There is therapists, there's doulas, there's mama tribes. I think that it's all based on who's in that space, what your energy is like, and what other people are bringing to the table, which then goes into my next thing of like energy work. You do some fun things with numerology. You're talking about energy work. You're talking about cold therapy, sitting outside on your stoop in the morning. Girl, what is all this about? How does it tie into motherhood?
Yeah. So my biggest thing is that in order for us to show up for our kids, you have to show up for yourself first. And so making those small gestures that take care of yourself. I'm big into grounding, so putting your feet into the earth. So the winters are going to be hard for me because I can't go do that. And then really taking radical responsibility for yourself and your energy. Your kids like don't make you feel a way. You allow yourself to feel that way. And so it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's true. Like if you are frustrated about something, like you're choosing to feel frustrated and look at that situation through a frustrated or angry lens. And so I'm all about like honoring those feelings, but then figuring out like, okay, what steps do I need to take so that I can get back into my happy, excited, passionate self rather than staying in that negative space of frustrated, angry, icky vibe. And so that I feel super, super passionate about that.
That you do, but it's someone needs to. I think that is so incredibly helpful to hear. I will say the whining is utterly annoying. And I'm like, I know I'm not the only one that can solve this problem. So there's going to be some inner work that needs to be done. All moms will deal with that. But the cool thing is like this grounding. So did you like dive into the research on this? Like, how did you come about talking about like grounding and energy work and connecting mind, body, soul with all that?
Yeah, it's just been like picking up like little things from people, just hearing people speak or starting to follow somebody, and like learning numerology and how that like really does give you a great path of like your life and your temperament and all these qualities about yourself. And so it really just has been like picking up these little tidbits and then being like, I think that sounds cool. I'd like to try that. And then I try it and then I'm like, okay, I want to make this a daily practice because I feel better. And so just making those small decisions and choices each day and knowing that I'm doing my best to show up each day with my kids and my family and my husband to be the best version of me rather than putting myself last and then being a crap person for everybody.
A crap show. What does like a really ugly day look like for you? Like when you are just, things are not going well or you're in a funk, like what does that look like? How do you handle that?
Yeah. So it's usually when all of the littles are off or like the older two are whining, the 2-year-old is grumpy and crying and needy, and the 1-year-old or almost 1-year-old that wants to be held all day. It just feels like super draining and exhausting, and it plays in. So I have a core wound of not being enough, and those type of days like they trigger that core wound, and so then I usually am operating from a place of like, I'm not doing enough, I'm not good enough, this isn't working. And so, yeah, those days are hard. That's when I'm yelling more, I'm more snappy, I'm less patient. I don't really want to like be around them, so I might be on my phone more. So yeah, those days happen and they're definitely ugly. But on this self-awareness journey of like my motherhood life, I'm able to like see, okay, I'm in a funk, like what can I do for myself to get out of it or to work through it or to get to a better place.
I feel like you just kind of listed like every day though for me and so many people. So maybe there's some work I need to do. We're glued to this dang device all the time, but something you just said kind of freaked me out a little bit. So I think I need to tap into that, but it's like escaping the current reality. Like, I don't really want to hang out with you right now. I'm going to go hang out with my Instagram scroll, which is not productive for anybody in the situation. In these Mama Tribe groups, or just through the different ways that you illuminate moms, do you teach them things like core wound? That was really cool to hear. Or triggers. Like how do people know even what to look for?
Yeah, so it's actually, that's my latest program is Mothering with Soul, which is all about figuring out like what your deep inner stuff is, like where you have those, like on the days you yell the most, like what is behind that? Because usually anger is always a second emotion and fear is actually the first. So like, what are you scared of in that moment? Like if your kid runs into the street, like, yeah, you're scared for their life. You're going to yell like, stop. But when they're whining at you or they're like at your feet and they won't stop complaining and you yell, you might feel, angry, but then what's the second emotion? Is it fear? What are you scared of? Like, what is that? What fear is coming up for you as a mom? And so it is really digging into, and like, there's different core wounds for everybody. Mine, through this inner work stuff, it's like, okay, he's triggering my not enough wound. I need to do X, Y, and Z on my list of energy enhancers or things that I can get myself out of this little funk that I'm feeling and move away from that feeling of being not enough and the fear and all that.
A list of energy enhancers. I think this is like gold, like the golden ticket or something. Okay, so that's helpful to know. So I think I need to like process this and like, people like myself and just really moms of all journeys, whether it's their first or they're expecting or they have, 7 or 8 or large families or adoptive moms or foster or grandparents even. It just sounds so helpful to connect personal with the situation, but then not be so hard on ourselves because at the end of the day, we are human. So you have your program. Where do you take moms after they're like done working with you? Well, not that that's like they're done because they can kind of continuously work with you, but like what's the end all goal?
The end all goal for me is this might sound corny and cheesy, but it's my truth, so I'm just going to speak it. I honestly believe that we're raising the next generation that can cure cancer. It can cure world hunger. Like, we can cure all these things that we have in our society that are hard and challenging and ugly. But if we're going to do that, we really have to mother from a place of like deep acceptance, not only of ourselves, but from our littles as well. And making sure that like when they're triggering us, we're able to come at it from a space of love rather than react and get angry and all of that. And so it's a journey. If you if you were to work with me and we were to figure this out, like, I don't know if my core wound of not being enough will ever like go away, but I think the self-awareness and then the pieces that I've put in place to really take care of that wound and like kind of parent myself or remother myself allows me to then like show up really authentic and true for my own kids.
Remother and parent. Do you think and do you see patterns from people's childhood and their mothering and their parenting coming out in their current parenting today?
100%. Yeah.
Isn't that wild? Like, oh, I sound like my mom. Like, but why is that
Mm-hmm.
bad? Or, oh, I don't want to do that because my mom did that. Or like, I experienced that. That's kind of scary.
Yeah. I mean, and it can get so deep and so overwhelming. But it is really thinking like, what did you love about your childhood? Like, what do you want to bring forward? But then being super intentional, like, what didn't you love about your childhood? And then being intentional to stop that, like, generational, whatever characteristic that you didn't love about your childhood. You have the power to do that. You just have to have that self-awareness to really pull it out and acknowledge it and figure out how to do go a different way.
Or finding, exactly. And all of this is work to, in my mind, like, just find a happy place that works for us, because we have habits instilled within us from our grandparents, whether we knew them or not. My grandparents weren't, they were in a totally different country when I was little. So I didn't have them around, yet there's still tendencies. And then I see that through my mom, and and now it's coming out through my like fourth generation. It's just so wild. So I think people are just going to have to talk to Meggie over at Illuminated Mom to really figure out and hone all of this in. So we're going to wrap up the Illuminated Mom stuff for now. And then peeps can find you at what website and what Instagram?
Yeah, so it's illuminatedmom.com, and then my Instagram handle is just Meggie, and then like little, the _ dash, _Martin.
I will have all of that here, and it's Meggie with E, not Maggie, so it's Meggie.
Yes, I am Meggie. Yep.
So, which is so cute. Okay, so aside from Illuminated Mom, wife, boss life, I want to talk about like 16-year-old Meggie. If you could go back and tell her what you know and feel today, like if you could immediately after this call go back and tell her some encouraging words, what would you tell her?
I would really working on accepting yourself, rather than like seeking that outside validation. Because I think even in my adult life, as I've like stepped into who I really truly believe I am, that's hard, man. When you think, oh my gosh, they're gonna not like me, or they're gonna unfollow. Like, we didn't even have Instagram when we were growing up. I can't imagine what it's like. I can't even imagine what it's like now.
It's hard as an adult, and then a 16-year-old.
Yeah, I just don't care. Be in your own lane, do your own thing, listen to yourself, and you really can't go wrong. It's just all those extra things that come in and make you question everything that you believe.
Oh man, that is so pivotal, I think, for any 16-year-old to hear. So that's what 16-year-old Meggie would hear today. You have some girls in your collective of beautiful children. You have 2 boys, 2 girls, right? 2 boys, 2 girls.
Yeah.
So I have a kids empowerment platform, and I'm all about empowering women and children, as you already know. This is why we're on this squad. However, I always kind of hone in on the girls a little bit more strongly. One, because I just don't think there's enough of that out there, but I can't forget about the little boys. So whether if it's you, trying to intentionally do something, or just being a mom and having your littles, all four of them, hear you, what is it that you want the girls, or just all of them, to know about your work and like all the things that you're learning and trying to do, whether if it's a professional front or the personal front? Like, what do you want them to take away from what you're doing?
Yeah, what I want my kids to know is that they have all this amazing power inside of them, and it really just takes that like deep acceptance and deep awareness to harness it and to use it. Like, you want to be the next president? Go do it. Go do all those things that you want to do, and just keep following your heart, even if it's something that like I think is crazy or different or weird. Just stay true to yourself, because you're really make happy and be responsible for.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And they're going to be such amazing humans when they grow up, because look at who their mama is. Nothing in life comes easy. We don't just show up like being our best selves overnight. I feel like clearly,
No.
as you have explained, every day can be a little bit of a different crap show or beautiful life. What is, and you can, again, I hit people with these like crazy big overwhelming questions. So answer this how you will. On a personal front, or maybe in the professional business world that you've encountered in your projects now, like what has been one of the biggest challenges or obstacles that you face that has just like knocked you on your knees and you're like, this sucks?
Yeah. Honestly, I think being entrepreneur is really freaking hard. Like really hard. When I started it like 2 years ago, I thought it would just be easy and that I would just like coast and all this amazing stuff would happen. And not to say that amazing things haven't happened, but there's been so many unexpected twists and turns and pivots and things that I didn't think would be an issue are an issue, and has forced me to grow like as a person. And yeah, it's a lot harder. It's super rewarding and I love it and I'm grateful for it. But I have had moments where I want to quit, or wall kicking moments, or moments where I'm like, I am over this. Like, this is too hard. But then I come back to like, if I'm not doing it, then I can't help moms. And then it's like, okay, I got to stick it out. I got to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, even though it's purpose driven and you've had different career paths, doesn't make it easy. And I feel like women, especially, we feel like we have to kind of explain. I love it and it's great, but well, no, this shit is hard, man. It's not easy. Like, when people were freaking out, rightfully so, in March of 2020, when lockdown came and slapped us all in the face, a big part of me was like, I feel so seen. People now know what it's like to work from home with a child.
Mm-hmm.
It's ugly half the time. It's messy. It doesn't get easier. You just don't feel as cuckoo bird crazy. But it's also so beautiful at the same token. So it's not a comparison game. This is hard and it's great because you obviously have a purpose for it. I can relate to exactly what you said. And I think a lot of people can. On the flip side of that, what has been one of the most amazing milestones or moments in your world that you are just so stinking proud of?
I think the rebrand. Just because as I've changed, it's hard to start a company and then you do all this inner work and you learn all these things and you're like, it's not really like how I want to show up. And so then you change and you pivot. And I am excited where it's going because it finally feels like I found my lane. I found what I'm super passionate about. And that feels really, really freaking good, rather than like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to, when you go to that wishy-washy place and you can see it, but you can't like define it. And I feel like I finally feel like I've got it.
Yay! Oh my gosh, we were chatting. Our rebrands were happening right at the same time. So while we didn't personally talk about what was happening behind the scenes, and sometimes you can't put it into words, like the work that's being done mentally, physically, spiritually, business-wise. But then when it's out there and it makes sense and you feel good, I think the world is so receptive to that. And people are like, yep, that's you. Yep, that's your lane. Yep, you're shining. And then they gravitate towards you. So I was excited when you were rolling out Illuminated Mom, because it was more of like judging what you were already doing, right?
Yeah. It totally felt more. I still love the tribes. I'll always love the tribes, but this just brings in like that whole spiritual, personal growth aspect that I was really, really craving.
Yeah. And I talk a lot about this through my PR coaching too, is you kind of have to expect to, zhuzh up a brand at some point, because very few brands will start and then that's how they continue for years and years and years and years. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, like, yeah, their logos and like the aesthetics of their brand hasn't changed much in like the last 20, 30 years, but how, brands do what they do, the people behind it, everything evolves and changes. So I can totally see how the work that you do with moms can also work with like entrepreneurs, mom bosses. So people just need to go to illuminatedmom.com, really just kind of like see what you have going on, follow you on social media. And that was kind of my last question, is how can we support you and where can we find you?
Yeah, support. If you feel called, I would love to chat with you or figure out how I can help you in your mom journey. It's all different, but I feel like there's a lot of underlying things that are the same. Whether it's not necessarily like maybe you have one kid and I have 4 kids, but we still deal with the whining, so it's like you can still find ways to connect and work together. And then find me. Yeah, I'm more on Instagram than I am Facebook. I don't like love Facebook. But we do have a private group for the Mama Tribe Monthly, and I love that group because it's a lot of like getting to know you and chatting and just like I'm dealing with this, and so it's good for that space. And then Insta, I try to keep it real on there, especially with 4 children and the chaos that is my life.
I think that's what needs to happen, because we have enough of like other stuff in the world that we don't really resonate with half the time. So keep doing you. We're not completely done. Thank you for answering all my questions. And I hope that people that are watching this will find something that they take away from it that they're drawn to. Otherwise, you know where to find her. And I'll add all of that in the footnotes of this post. So before we go though, I have some like HitaTalk trivia. I try to keep them simple, but at the same token, I try to stump people because it's just kind of fun. And then a little speed round, because I know you do this too on your Instagram stories, like this or that, or yes or no. Those are always fun. Okay, so these questions, there's 2 or 3. There's similarities between these questions and your brand. And I'm so punny. Like, it's like the puns are strong here. So you're going to have to like think on that level. All right, this song, I'm going to sing something. You tell me who sings this song.
Okay.
A, B, C, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Simple as do, re, mi. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Baby, you and me, girl.
Jackson 5.
Yes. Numerology. That was the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love
it. Okay. Here's another one. Tell me who sings this song. Apparently there's a lot of songs here today. Can you tell I'm like just dying to go to a concert?
Oh, right, I hear you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let go. Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up.
I know the song, but I don't know who it is.
Oh my God, I'm not even embarrassed.
But I'm not good at names.
You can see, because everyone uses that song on like reels and it's all over. Ciara sings that song.
Okay, okay.
You knew it though. You were vibing. What are these exercises they did in school where they like compare this is to this, this is to that? I'm gonna play that kind of a game here. I don't even know the name of that activity. All the English teachers out there are like, hello. Okay, illuminate is to dark as dim. I'm sorry, illuminate is to light as dim is to dark. Chocolate is to vanilla as sweet is to sour. Can you name the 7 chakras?
Yes, I can. Your root chakra, your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown.
Oh my gosh, she nailed it. Okay, obviously I knew you were gonna know that. So Ellen DeGeneres on her show does like the games and stuff, and she always does like the comparison, and then she like blindly throws in a random question at the end. So that's kind of where I was trying to go with that. Oh my gosh, it is always such a delight connecting with you, and I hope that anybody that watches this also felt like you are such a light, because you sure are. Connect with Meggie, connect with HitaTalk, like it on YouTube, follow, share, do all the things that you social people need to do. Thank you, my darling. This was such a joy,
Yeah.
and we will talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.